All right, well, welcome to the Hot Chips Gaming Podcast, the only gaming podcast called Hot Chips.
Yes, nice.
Is that true? I hope so.
I really hope so. Hosting today is me, Reagan. We've got Theo, Amy, and Jordan along as well, as every week. How's everyone's gaming week been? Good?
Terrifying.
Intense.
I played more games than usual, so I'm happy.
This podcast is doing great.
That's
for my
good.
game playing.
That's good.
Time for sure.
You're now in...
Yeah, I'm spending too much time playing video games. Is that good? I don't know. Maybe not.
And so, like every week, we're going to start with the catch-up session. Theo, have we got anything to catch up with this week?
I've got a couple of things to catch up for this week. The first thing is the Scurb channel, League of Legends animated channel, run by New Zealanders. It's got a bit of an international audience, but they've gone through a channel redesign where they're going to be doing some more animations and getting a bit more face time in front of the camera and having a little bit more of a personality from that direction, which is really cool, and it's turned out quite nice. I watched the recent Scurb draws, actually, Penta draws. And that was really fun. He had a little animated
really good.
himself with a sword
Quite
and a
funny.
pencil. Yeah, it was very, very cool. The next thing, I think we'll do DNZ 16 first, won't we? Yeah.
Yeah, so the IGEA released their yearly kind of statistical information on gaming in New Zealand. We went along to the launch of that in Wellington and heard some really cool stuff. And it's really interesting to see kind of how those stats evolve year on year. So we use them quite extensively with Leaping Tiger to kind of explain to investors and interested parties about the gaming scene in New Zealand. And those numbers kind of always, I think, are pretty telling in certain areas with regards to like average age of gamers, amount of like hours that are spent playing has really gone up. So I thought I'd just link below so you could check those out if you're interested in catching up on all of that, because it was quite interesting.
Some pretty... Oh, sorry.
I was going to ask if there's any standout results for anything.
The one that really surprised me was like the over 65 age group. It was like, was it 50% or something?
Yeah, it was
of
ridiculously
people over
high.
65 game now.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. And the drop off between that young age group that you would typically expect that plays games and that next kind of age bracket that I can't remember what it is, it's like 30 to 45 or whatever, was only like 10 to 15% of the drop off. And so that's also massive.
Yeah, I thought that, because we've always known and we've always said, the average age of a gamer is about 33 years old. That's the same in New Zealand as it is internationally. Which is interesting because it always it scales that way because the population is much higher at that, like, there's the baby boomers really scale those statistics towards the higher end because there's just so much more of them that actually pull it up. But what I thought was actually really interesting is when they went over the percentages of that group that played. And so, like, between, I think it was 18 to, what's the top end, like 55 or something?
Yeah.
It was 79% of their age bracket plays video games.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just nuts. Like,
Yeah.
everyone's playing.
It's good stats.
The thing that I find interesting is the average age every year seems to get a year
Slightly
older
better.
as well.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the kids of the 80s were, that group is the target market.
Yeah.
They've grown up with the whole invention of video games and have just grown with it over the years.
For sure.
So next year will probably be 35 as the average.
Yeah.
The year after that, 36. It's pretty interesting. The other thing that was interesting is the amount of female gamers as well.
Yeah.
It's always this kind of thing where people are, saying, hey, girls are gamers as well, and these are the stats that kind of show. Actually, it's pretty even split. Was it 50% or 51%?
It's slightly under,
46,
like
yeah.
40,
Oh, it was under.
48.
It's very, very close. They had a serious rise in play sessions between the age of 35 and 40 in females, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of weird, but
The
very,
sessions
very
one
cool.
was really interesting because it went from like what was it, like a half an hour every few days to like now between half an hour and an hour every day or something. So I think mobile gaming obviously is having a huge influence on that.
Especially in the older demographics, I feel, and female, like the mums of the world, like playing Candy Crush. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Everyone
for sure.
is playing that.
Well, my mum plays Facebook games.
Same.
And I'm sure
Yeah.
they get included in these kind of
They
surveys as
absolutely
well.
do,
So it wouldn't go up against, people playing GTA and Half-Life and Counter-Strike, all those kind of things. And but it still shows that they are playing something and that there's definite niche markets, but like way more niche markets now in gaming than ever before.
I did go back to them and actually ask some questions about their esports stats because I thought that the correlation between people who said they'd played esports and people who said they'd watched esports was too narrow. I think it was like 22 and 21% or 22
wow.
and 20%. And I was like, really? Because I'm pretty sure more people would have watched esports than have played esports. And so I wanted to know how they defined it. Yeah.
I think there's a whole. I think the question was the way they surveyed it was incorrect. They asked
that's
people,
what I was about to say.
Yeah,
They
if
totally
they
did,
had
yeah.
played esports.
Yeah.
And there'd be a whole, the mid-core gamer that's buying Call of Duty and FIFA and those kind of games that would say no to that question. Technically, are playing games that were designed to be played competitively.
Yeah.
So where is the draw?
I don't call that esports though.
Right, but then no one has actually played esports.
But that's like saying, do you watch you watch the FIFA World Cup?
Yeah.
And if someone says to you, do you play soccer?
Professional soccer.
No one said professional esports. They just said it's no
Right.
different than saying do you play sports.
Right,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So do you play professional esports? No, but do you play esports?
yeah, right,
Yes.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
That's
Fair
interesting. That question
It
definitely
needs
needed to-
clarification.
Yeah.
The league
yeah,
players
sure.
would inflate that massively.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yes, I have played League of Legends ranked match.
Yeah, and I think
Right.
that's probably where the numbers were mostly taken up.
Runs 5.
I don't think anyone would sit there and be like, I play Call of Duty and that's an esport. But
Yeah.
people would sit there and be like, League of Legends is a sport and I play that. So, so maybe, that's an interesting question and needs more kind of thought about in the future, I think.
Yeah.
My most interesting statistic in that report that came out was the resurgence of PC gaming.
Woo! Yes, PC gaming. Thank you.
It's just nuts because it showed, the growth of mobile over the trend, and then kind of PC was remaining steady. I think it was around. I don't have this. We should have got the stats.
We should have.
But it was lower, I think, than the mobile and console markets, but steady. And then over the last year or two, it's just absolutely boomed again to like 80% of households have PCs that they play games on. And I think that's probably largely to do with Facebook gaming.
Yeah.
But not to mention, Minecraft and League of Legends is probably
and all of the
responsible
free to
for it.
play. That would have boomed it quite hard.
Yeah, see, for me, I used to be exclusively console until about maybe 5 years ago. And a friend of mine was like, Steam's, you can get cheap games through Steam. All you need to do is buy one decent graphics card, and all of a sudden you can now buy games super cheap.
Yeah.
And so that was the turning point for me, was saying, yes, I could spend $600 on a graphics card and chuck it into the PC that I've already got, and put an HDMI cable to my TV, use a wireless Xbox controller that I've already got, and sit on my couch playing cheap games with better graphics than the PS4 and Xbox, or at the time, I guess, Xbox 360 and PS3 could do.
Yeah.
And that was the tipping point for me. Now I'm almost exclusively PC gaming, but not the PC gaming that most people would probably think.
Yeah.
It's not keyboard and mouse at a desk playing League of Legends or Hearthstone or anything like that. I'm playing all the sort of multi-platform games from my couch, surround sound, big TV with a controller. So I treat it like a console, but
Rocket League.
haven't got into that yet. I really should.
One day, very soon.
Yeah.
I actually, I'm not a whole fan of that play style. I think console games should be played on console because that's the platform that they're made for.
But if you're
and then
on
you
a
get
couch,
some terrible
How do you
ports,
define console game?
It's whoever the developer is really set out to make that game for. And if you think about Arkham Knight, they came out, Rocksteady's like, we're making this for the PS4 and Xbox One.
That was a mistake. They outsourced that production.
The production to PC to another developer. Like, that game was much better on a console.
How does that argument go when with Metal Gear Solid 5, right? I could get the PC version, play it on my couch, in front of my TV, all the same sort of benefits of a console setup, but I've got better graphics running faster than you'll be able to have yours running on your PS4.
Yeah.
So where's the argument that it's console was so separate?
I think in that case, then the PC experience on that probably is better.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a risky strategy to be, if you're primarily into console experiences, to switch that over entirely to PC, you're taking a risk. Because sometimes it won't pay off.
The only thing that I felt that I've missed out on as far as the console experience is the ease of use of being able to screenshot and record videos from the PS4 or Xbox One. You can do it with Steam, you can save pictures and stuff, but using a controller doing that is much harder.
And there's no recording.
Yeah. So you can do all those, it's just you need the keyboard and mouse.
Yeah.
And when your keyboard and mouse is over there and you're on the couch over here with your controller, you just kind of miss a few of those little console experiences.
Perhaps
But those didn't used to
we
be
could
console
get salty
experiences.
about this.
We totally could.
At some point.
At some point.
You've commandeered my statistics. Ketchup.
That's right. It's a conversational podcast.
Yeah,
We're going
right.
into conversation.
I've got a really good point, but I'll save it the next time.
Keep going as well.
Keep going. So let's all be real here. Consoles and PCs and all of those kind of things, they're all computers.
Sure.
It's all the same kind of streamlined thing. So there's that. But the other thing is that engines like the CryEngine, Unreal Engine 4 and things like that, they do cross-platform production as you build them. So I think that probably points to why PCs are resurging in the marketplace. You can just build them more powerful and have a more powerful build, while most games
I
are
don't
being
know if
more
that would
cross-platform.
affect the numbers enough though.
I don't
That's
know.
top end gaming. I think that's has grown, probably doubled. But I don't know if overall that would affect those statistics.
I'm not sure. There's definitely something that is. And I think the other thing that it could be driving it is people getting into these games like Dota and League of
for
Legends
sure.
and stuff
These
like
games.
I
that.
think League of Legends
Please
and
God.
Minecraft.
These crazy
Those
video
kids,
games.
Those crazy kids.
And so these are the kind of games that spread by word of mouth.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, a PC you don't really use or needs an upgrade, you finally get around to doing that.
Well, I believe Minecraft's probably stolen a lot of that mobile audience and the younger guys.
Sure.
Guys have these mobile experience, and then all of a sudden, all their friends playing Minecraft on the PC. They're playing it. Their parents are playing it. They're playing it in schools on the PCs.
Funny story about Minecraft. I was at a coffee shop the other day.
Can we
and
stick
there's
to
a little
the
girl-
survey
No, it's
things,
really
please?
funny though.
Okay.
There's a little girl explaining to her sister about how my Minecraft was so dumb. She's like, it's all blocks. It's basically just a pixelated movie and you move stuff around.
That sounds awesome.
Wow. She was so dark about it. It sounds like me before I knew what Minecraft was.
Show them mods and it's like super realistic pixels.
And the PC versus console conversation is an interesting one because there seems to be this big divide between PC gamers and console gamers. But there's a divide there, but as far as the products go, they're coming closer and closer together.
Yeah.
PCs are becoming like console experience focused, and consoles are becoming more like high-end PCs, and eventually they're just gonna be the same thing.
Yeah, and you've got the PC crowd that's saying, this will be Sony's last console, and you've got the console crowd saying Nintendo's doomed and PC's dying.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. It'll be interesting to see where it goes from the next generation, even though that's a good 5 years away for most. 2 of the 3 main companies.
And I mean, all the same companies are making all the parts anyway. It's like you've got AMD just buying all the processors to everything. It's
just laughing.
Laughing,
rolling in money.
Yeah, rolling in the money. Yeah.
We make PC chips and it goes into everything.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, cool. So you can check out the stats for yourself and argue with your friends if you want.
And there was another big announcement that I see you've gotten written down there as well.
Yeah, shall we chat about it?
Oh,
Shall
we
we?
totally should.
I don't know enough about it. I saw like a little review
There isn't
video,
that much info.
and I know it won't be anything at all like what the
Yes, it
review
will.
video
Yes, it
It
will.
won't
Yes,
be.
it will. Yes, it will.
I think we'll be
So we're
surprised.
talking
Yeah.
about Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
And it's my dreams have come true. And I will be a Pokemon master.
Can I just say,
It's not going to be what you think it is.
I have never played a Pokemon game through to completion.
Oh, really?
I've played a little bit of Emerald. That's it.
What is completion really though? After
Like,
the Elite Four,
it's like-
there's
Oh, no,
lots.
forget
to
me.
do.
No. As in, I've only
Past
put
the
a
Elite-
couple of
Wow.
hours.
He's never beaten the
Wow.
Elite Four.
No,
at this
I don't
table.
even know what the Elite Four is.
Wow. Oh.
My favorite Pokemon game, Pokemon Snap. So if it's anything,
No!
that is a game I have played that I loved dearly. That was amazing.
I don't think
Well
we can
done.
have Reagan on the podcast.
Nah, he's out.
So
Nintendo,
anyway, I
what?
can't wait to get my little Pokemon clip and
So
wear it on my
yes,
top and
yes.
go out and catch Pokemon.
For those that aren't aware, Pokemon Go is a new mobile game that's coming out by the guys that made Ingress,
Yeah.
teamed up with Nintendo and the Pokemon
Niantic.
Company.
Yeah.
And it's a game where you can go out into the real world to find and battle and capture Pokemon, but it comes with a little wrist strap, right?
Yeah, so it's like a little, like a clip. I think you can wear it on your wrist if you want, or it's like a pin.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like magnet.
It looks
I
like a
don't
clip.
know.
Yeah.
And it looks like a Pokemon ball mixed with a Google
Location
Maps
pin.
location
Yeah.
pin.
Yeah, I like.
It's a great way to identify people who love. Like you're just walking out the street, you're like, "Hey!"
It's a great way to identify
And
who to
the
stay
music-
clear
It's
of.
nice.
The
Break
music
on.
starts. Dun, 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 dun.
Because the video just had like mid 20 to early 30-year-olds like in it
Yes,
trying to be
did.
teenagers.
It is blatantly the audience.
And it's kind of, but it's not who out of that group is really going to be wearing this little wrist
Yeah.
strap.
Well, was it clear if you needed that wrist strap?
I don't.
No, you don't need it.
Yeah, you don't need.
It's just it's an alternative to keeping your phone on.
It's just for the cool kids.
So like opening the app and having it on, or you can just have it go around with the strap on, which the strap on your wrist, which obviously stays Bluetooth connected to your phone, and it sort of lets you know where you are.
Or
it buzzes in certain ways, and you can catch Pokemon and stuff with it.
Yeah, I could imagine it kind of picking up the Pokemon you see on your travels, if it's in your handbag or whatever. And then when you get home and your phone's on the Wi-Fi, it can probably let you catch those Pokemon you've seen. Like the same way that kind of Street Pass does.
I'm just like, oh my god, my hype levels are like
I wish
over 9,000.
The one thing I want is for when you select your Pokeball and then you actually throw your phone to catch it. The only way to catch them.
Correct. Yes, I got a Dratini. I don't care.
Yeah, there's a lot that we don't know about that game.
Yeah.
I have high hopes. Hopes
high?
Hopes are
You're very excited right now.
Hopes are so
Two
high.
thumbs up.
But trust Nintendo to bring out a mobile game that comes with hardware.
Yeah.
Who else would do
That's
that?
the most Nintendo thing they could do.
So speaking of which, where will one buy that from?
Local warehouse,
like JB Hi-Fi, EB, things like that.
Warehouse, all the retailers.
Shall we start from Pokemon Go? Let's talk about that.
Do we know when it cut off?
Just before.
Yeah, it was when you saw it.
Oh, right.
Sure. Yeah, because that's when it shut. I'm pretty
sure.
Because we kept looking at it.
Speaking of microtransactions.
Oops. So minor technical. Damn it, we were going so well with the technical difficulties.
We didn't have any last week, did we?
We didn't. Anyway, speaking of microtransactions. Definitely going to have them.
So, because they showed a point where the guy selects his Pokeball.
Yes.
Is that what it's called? Just a Pokeball? Pokeball?
Oh my god, Reagan.
But there were two different other types there as well.
Yeah, so you can have like special balls and like master balls.
So are people going to be paying for balls that don't actually collect? Like you can fail. You can spend $10 and buy 30 balls and 20 of them might fail because you've been thrown them at the wrong kind of...
Yes.
I imagine so.
Wow.
You didn't put the Pokemon slate.
That's going to happen,
Yeah.
Buy some rare candy. Buy some... Some what's the spray that keeps away the low Pokemon?
Oh yeah.
Buy some repel.
You go through that repel,
Yeah, and then you only get the big Pokemon when they show up.
Yeah.
And, sorry, you asked about sort of the average price of Nintendo stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like, so on the 3DS, most of their digital downloads are anywhere between $15 for their budget titles or their retro games, $15 to $20, up to like $60, $70.
Yeah.
So I think this will fit somewhere in the middle there.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was free.
I hope it's free. If you
I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't think Niantic would work on a non-free play.
Ingress isn't free.
It is.
Is it?
Ingress is free.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't remember.
I think if you're going to enter the mobile market seriously, you need to take a serious look at the business model.
Yeah. I guess.
But I mean, like Square Enix, how many games have they got on the mobile market now? And they all cost $10+.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Nintendo could release a Pokemon game on the mobile for $20 and it will sell. I think it will sell hugely. And I think they know that, but they'd be stupid not to take on that extra revenue.
Yeah, it would be a proper Pokemon game though. It wouldn't be this Ingress style Discovery, throw a ball, catch or don't. Like, that's really all it is. I could see them releasing, Fire Red for mobile and pay, and that would be like $20.
Yeah. Pokemon is a money maker for them. They know that.
Yeah,
they know it's a money maker.
They're gonna charge for it. I would bet.
I'd be highly surprised if it's free.
Yeah,
highly surprised.
What games by Nintendo have in-game purchases? I thought it was only the Mii's, and that's out-of-game purchases. I couldn't think of one. Amiibos. Amiibo.
The plural amiibo.
Amiibi.
They're pretty late to the party about all that.
But they do have them. They do have them. You can. There's DLC in Fire Emblem.
That's DLC. That's not in-game purchases. That's not.
What's that latest one? The Puzzles and Dragons Mario game that got released recently. They teamed up with the people who made Puzzles and Dragons and released it onto 3DS with a second chapter which was Mario themed. And that had microtransactions.
Oh.
So it is definitely something. And that was a paid game.
I quite like Nintendo's kind of DLC policy that they usually make real content for stuff, which is good.
Yeah.
I mean, the Mario Kart DLC has been amazing.
What was the longest ketchup ever?
It was good.
We thought we'd have no content for this.
Ketchup.
And suddenly we have
everything. So we'll wrap up the ketchup, which means it's time for Fresh Out of the Fryer.
Okay,
so we're going straight into the fryer, right?
We are going into it.
And then we're getting it out.
We're getting fresh out the fryer. We're done.
What is fresh this week?
Well, we all had
lots for fresh this week.
Yeah, we all got our hands on 2 games this week.
Even 3.
Even 3.
Or 4, yeah, we don't know.
We actually played a lot. We all played a bunch.
Yeah.
But
I didn't know work.
I watched a lot.
You watched?
Mario Maker?
Big release.
Yeah.
Huge release.
Pretty exciting.
Lots of fun.
So you've
I
purchased
played
it?
it. I bought it on the e-store. It's my first ever game I've bought on the Nintendo console that's been downloadable. I haven't bought the disc for it.
How the price compared to retail versus...
It's cheaper.
It was cheaper?
Yeah, it's $10 cheaper than retail.
You'd
That's
think it would be.
interesting.
Yeah.
Distribution costs and
No,
stuff.
but
because usually they don't
never do that though. So that's
Sneaky.
interesting.
Yeah.
Sneaky.
Because it pisses everyone off.
Convenience.
And the other thing was, it was a terrible time. Actually buying off the eShop, I knew I had reservations going into it. I actually ran the warehouse to see if they had stock and I was going to drive down and get it. Because I have the, the 20 megabyte Wii U?
God damn.
So I had my USB drive in and I was like, where am I going to download this? USB drive was full, but I had room on the console. So I was like, I want it to be on the console. So I had to unplug the USB, and then it just skitzed out. It was having it was just
You're
having
not
a
meant
mirror.
to put a USB in there, that's why.
I thought you could.
Just because they have a
it's supposed
USB
to
drive.
be
It's supposed to be powered.
There's Nintendo ones.
I've just got like a standard USB hard drive.
Yeah, I thought they
And
just
that
had to be
works fine.
powered.
No.
Like a powered
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I think they have to be the Nintendo
I don't even think Nintendo sells
Oh,
it.
they
There's a
don't.
big warning that comes up.
No.
It's a powered USB they want.
Yeah, they want a powered USB.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
But I've got the flash drive, so I'm cheating.
No, go buy retail.
Yeah, so I downloaded it onto the console, but then it wouldn't let me play until I had downloaded the update data onto the USB. It wouldn't allow it to go onto the console. So I was having
that's weird.
I struggled with it for maybe half an hour to actually get it running. But then I finally got it going, and yeah, good.
All right, 10 out of 10. Good game.
Good experience. Mario Maker, I've only played it for a couple of hours, so I can't do my full impressions of it. But there was not much content to start off the bat. Like, they give you very limited items, and they kind of do it in a way to train you up, to build you up. So you make your first couple of really easy worlds and that sort of thing, which would have been fine. But it kind of throws you in the deep end, really, with not much tutorial, not much story content, not much.
Have you looked at the manual?
Nah, I didn't get a manual.
No. In the game, if you hit your start button and it brings up the side menu, at the bottom there's a little green book. And it's the best digital manual I've ever seen.
Oh, cool.
It's amazing. It's so Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like most of the other games that you buy off the store, you hit the home button and you can go into a digital manual that way. But this is built into the software and it's amazing. It details everything. It's fantastic. And you can input in, I don't know if you should have received a link somewhere so you could download the digital version of the art book. And in the art book,
I want to see that. I really do.
In the art book, there's little bits, there's little codes you can put in, and in the manual you can put these codes in, and it unlocks videos and stuff. So definitely have a look at that manual because it's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
But I do agree with the fact that it all starts incredibly slowly. Like you get the retro theme.
Yeah.
You get the basic building blocks of like
Pipe, question mark, brick.
Yeah.
mushroom.
Yeah.
And a Goomba and a Koopa.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's it. And so you basically expect just to build an intro level to a Mario game and nothing more.
I think that would be fine. But like one of the big buttons when you first start off is like go online and check out someone else's game. And you do that and it's just like
You're like, wow.
this huge complex thing and you're like, how did this guy get all these things? And I've only got like grass. And then and that's a bit discouraging and you're just like, and you look around the game and you're trying to find out when it unlocks. And if you I imagine if you're younger and maybe you're not allowed full access to the internet, you'd never know when you'd get that stuff.
No, there's no guidelines to how you get it. And apparently they did have it so that it released 9 hours.
9 days.
9 days.
Oh, 9 days.
Over
That's
9
still
days.
too long.
But at the same point, I totally understand where Nintendo's coming from. They don't want you to just jump in, make some terrible levels, and just flood
That's the best part about
No, they
it.
want you to make good levels. They want to go, okay, let's start you off slowly. Now you've done
All right,
that. Now
dead
you've...
Nintendo.
I like it.
I really like
because
that as well.
The one thing I noticed by jumping online and having a look at the levels is that no one knows how to make a good level.
Yeah.
There's like, out of every 20 levels I played, maybe 2 of them I was like, this feels like a Nintendo level.
Have you seen the trailer they did where they were explaining how they made level World 1-1 or level 1-1 of the original game, and they were like, Mario goes up, there's a Goomba, like, it's up to the player because you've never seen it. This is the first time someone's ever seen a Goomba.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you jump on it? Do you run away? First time you might die, second time you jump on it.
Right.
And then you hit the mushroom and like it goes the wrong way from what you're expecting or something.
Yeah.
But they purposely put a pipe there so it bounces back and comes back towards you. So they do all these really little things that make the first level easy so people can kind of...
Learning through gameplay.
And then, they've got a part where it's got like a stack of blocks and a stack of blocks, but solid ground in between them. And the next time that comes up in the world, there's no solid ground between them, so you can actually fall you to your death. So it teaches you as it goes.
Right.
A lot of the levels, they start out going, hey, there's something coming right at you. What are you going to do? Like, so you normally die within like a second because you haven't figured out what they expected you to know from the get-go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And I think that, I would have liked them to do a bit more of that tutorial built into the game.
Yeah.
Rather than like do this unlock bits and pieces to keep it simple. Actually say, these are the reasons. This is like when you design a level, this is what you should be thinking. I think that would have been a really cool addition to the game.
That would have been cool.
Because it's really easy. Like as soon as like my first level I made, I'm like, I'll put a Laker 2 in. And it's like, I'll put 50 in. And then it's like 50 Laker 2s. And you're like, it's just chaos.
You got to stay on the platform. There's this pit of
there's like
Lakers.
the secret that you have to go to actually finish the level that only you know. And it's like, that's not helpful for anyone.
We made my name.
Yeah.
I can show you here. This is my name. It was beautiful.
Magical.
The thing
Did you
about...
finish that level?
Yeah.
Is that the one you finished? Because you said you
Can't
didn't
think
finish
your
one.
name.
Oh no, I made another one afterwards, which was very intricate. I don't think it had an end. I don't think I finished it.
Yeah. I think it's a, we might do a review of it, but I think it's a must play.
Yeah.
We'll
I
throw up
went
some
into it
gameplay
thinking I would
videos or
hate it
something.
because I don't genuinely love.
Well, you said
Mario.
Little Big Planet
I was gonna
over
say,
Mario,
Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
said you don't like any Mario
I
game.
don't like any. I just don't love playing Mario. But wow, I loved making the things.
The making is
Not a big
fantastic.
platformer,
Yeah, I just don't love play. I don't love platformers, but I do enjoy making stuff.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Speaking about how you said about tutorials, if they actually sort of gave you tutorials to make stuff, in the manual, if you input some of the codes from the art book, it's got videos that should have been part of the
really?
design process. Like when you first make your first level, show a couple of these videos because they explain like using a Koopa shell to bust blocks, right?
Yeah.
And they show you, well, if you're going to have Mario drop from a sort of a level down to a lower level, instead of just having him drop down, put some bricks that need to be, destroyed. Then add your Koopa to be able to destroy it. But then it shows you what works and what doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
What might take too long for the player and what wouldn't take too long but also give the same effect. And so there's a bunch of videos that I think 95%, maybe 99% of gamers aren't going to watch that would make them better designers at their own levels.
Yeah.
So well worth a look.
tips.
If you got the art book, take a look at some of those codes, enter them into the manual and watch those videos because if you watch them, you will make some better better levels.
Hot tips with hot chips.
Hot tips,
Hot tips
chips.
and hot chips.
Because, if you are going to pick it up, I think one of the things that I'd say is that don't expect it to be a Mario game that has, maker functionality onto it.
Right.
Like Little Big Planet's kind of got the story and then you can go make your own levels. It's the complete opposite of that. The whole game is about designing the levels.
Yeah, although there are some pre-built ones in there,
Yeah.
but I believe they were built by the Treehouse team, not some of the original Nintendo designers. So they've got like the 10 Mario challenge where you're given 10 Marios and you've got to beat 8 levels. Each of those 8 levels, each of those 8 levels are made by the Treehouse team and you can unlock them to edit them in the editor later. And then you've got the 100 Mario challenge, which just picks easy, medium, or hard levels, depending on which difficulty you've chosen. You've got to try and beat 16, I think it is, using 100 Marios.
Okay.
So I think it might be good if we all sit down and actually
Do a
try
100 Mario
and do a
challenge.
100 Mario challenge at some point.
Yeah.
Could you make, I don't know how expansive it is, but could you make a level that was like Super Meat Boy where when you
Someone's
finish the
done
level
it.
it shows
Already
you
done.
all of the
Already being
very
done.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Every time you play a level, if you die, it shows a little red X, and it shows all the red X's where other people have died as well. So you can see the troubling part on your own level, or you can see, okay, you're just as useless as everyone else at that point.
I tried a level, and it's just like, I couldn't get past the first bit. It's not, it wasn't even that hard.
I
was
wish
just
I'd
crap.
been recording it.
And then so you exit out of it and you're like, what's the pass rate on that? And you see it's like 8% of people have passed it. And
Yeah,
you're
that's
like,
fine.
Yeah.
I'm not that bad. So
Yeah.
I made a level that I can complete, and I can complete it easily, and no one had. It was a 0% completion rate. And, I think only 6 people had tried it,
Oh, yeah.
and one person had tried 20 times. and no one had completed. And I'm like, it's straightforward. What are you doing? So it's interesting when you spend so long with a level that you've made yourself, and you can blitz through it. That all of these missions, or all these levels that you're having trouble with, the creator can probably just do so easily, and so they're not seeing it from your eyes. It's been an interesting way to. I think it's one of the things with level design and trying to get things out there in a game like this. Just doing it yourself is not the good test of whether or not it's a good level.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, it needs to be. Oh, maybe we should do a little competition where we each have to make a world.
Yeah.
The world's 4 levels, isn't it?
You have to beat each other's
Yeah,
worlds.
Yeah, so we all should make a world and we play through each other's worlds and we rank like who we think is the best level
Mine's
design
gonna be
and
the
stuff.
worst. But it'll be beautiful. Mine are very, beautiful, but not good.
Speaking of not good, no, it's actually it's actually really good.
Fantastic.
Sony PlayStation New Zealand gave us a copy of Until Dawn to give away, and we've all sat down and played through or watched through, depending on Amy. How much did you play of it? And versus watched?
2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours. I played. I don't know. Not that much.
But you saw the rest.
I saw it. I sat through the rest of it while Jordan played.
Until Dawn, it's interesting. Until Dawn is a game that a couple of years ago I mentioned I wanted a game like this.
Yeah.
I mentioned that I wanted a teen horror slash movie video game.
Right.
Yeah. And then this is perfect.
So we can blame you for this.
Yeah, they wouldn't have seen the tweet, I'm sure, but
bet
it would
they
have been well in development by that point. But it's exactly what I'm after.
Is this spoiler free?
No, so
This is what the genre is.
Yeah, but
No, I mean this whole chat right now.
about
right.
this game
So
will have spoilers.
There are going to be a
have
lot of
spoilers.
spoilers.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a lot of spoilers here, but we're also going to have individual review up on Until Dawn,
Spoiler-free review.
which is spoiler free, which you
Which
can
we
go
can
and
link
watch
at some point.
Yeah, and we'll link it.
Yeah.
And so you can watch that, decide whether or not you want to pick up the game. You can hear all our very short opinions on it. We try to keep it under 2 minutes.
Pros and cons, no spoilers.
Yeah, and if you share that video and that review, then you go on the draw to win. Is that how we're going to do it?
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
Cool.
You can.
And you get one that hasn't been touched by hot chips as well. You'll get a chip-free version.
No grease.
No grease. Grease-free. Yeah. But so
Okay, so we're going full on spoilers now.
Spoilery.
Spoiler time.
So I think the biggest spoiler, how many people died in your playthrough? Because everyone can die. Everyone can survive or everyone can die.
Right, so what happened for me and Jordan
individually.
was we started out playing it together. Separately. So I was playing it and we were, because we only got one copy to play between us, right? We were alternating. And then it got too terrifying. So we decided we'd play it
Who
together.
did it get too terrifying? Who made that decision
just
to...
originally it was too terrifying for Jordan.
Yes.
And he was like, I can't do it. And so I was like, okay, we'll play together. And then I became the one that was too afraid to continue.
Because it does have it has a big change in a kind of
It was a welcome
atmosphere,
change
doesn't it?
as well. I mean, to start off about the scariness of the game, there is such a massive difference in playing this game by yourself in front of a monitor.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause that's how we first started playing it and we were
So we're recording
it.
our scares. You can see that, yes.
Like, that was just so much more terrifying than playing on the couch.
Yeah.
Playing on the couch where you're comfortable and, you know, there's someone else in the room. It's 90% less terrifying.
But that still didn't stop you from being
It
terrified.
still did not stop me from being terrified. No, I am a giant wuss.
The visuals on
Should we
these
talk about-
monsters.
Should we talk about what Until Dawn is? Because we haven't really mentioned that, and there are probably some viewers or listeners.
It's a horror
what the
movie
hell.
kind of thing.
So it utilizes all the tropes of a typical slasher horror from the late 80s, early 90s. It's a bunch of oversexed teenagers heading up to a
Cabin in the
snowy,
woods.
in the top of a snowy
Best movie
mountain.
ever. Oh.
Where a year ago, Josh, who is the guy that's invited everyone up to the mountain, his 2 sisters went missing due to a prank that was played on one of them. So he's brought them all up a year later just to, I guess they haven't seen each other for a while and they're trying to...
Just trying to, allegedly mend the fences.
mend the fences, trying to make everything okay. And then from the get-go, things go wrong.
Yeah.
Nothing ever goes right.
everything
the power
goes-
never comes on.
Yeah. Everything goes...
The power's never on in this house. In this
It's the
cabin.
exact way you expect it to go, right?
Yeah.
And so I, from 15 minutes in, knew exactly who was going to be the bad guy. And
Really?
Yeah.
I think I could. Yeah, I think you can kind of tell.
Yeah.
I
So,
didn't know it all, and I bet
It was
I
exactly-
bet pancakes that he was
Yeah.
wrong, and now I have to make
Yeah,
pancakes.
because
Oh, nice.
when he died, we all thought he was dead.
That was the thing. That was the thing. I was like, oh, it's got to be this guy. And then he died.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, that's completely throwing my entire theory out of the water.
Yeah. Did anyone here choose the girl in that moment to die?
No.
No. Because if you do, it's still...
Yeah, I chose the girl to die.
Oh, did you?
Because it was like, in my mind, it was between this girl that he's just trying to hook up with and his friend from like childhood.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, I want to save him, so I'll pull the lever that way, and he dies. I'm like, and the what's his name, Chris?
Chris,
Yeah.
He's like, no, and because he actually freaked out, so it was good to know that it wasn't just like
Later in the movie, if you choose to kill the girl over him, your friend's like, why did you do that? It's the girl, you can get some. Like you're pussy. So I thought that was really interesting. You guys chose to kill him. So
Yeah, I chose to kill him. I knew I wasn't convinced.
You killed him?
Yeah, we killed him. But I wasn't convinced he was dead the whole time.
he was in there.
Sorry?
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant legitimately end him.
Oh, no. So he got chopped in half. But just before that, we'd found the pig's head.
Yeah.
And so it was obvious that he had a fake body. Like I said the same. And she's like, no, he's dead.
No, I thought he was dead.
Oh, he was dodgy from day one.
Yeah.
And I thought that I would have been disappointed if that was the entire game. But in the third act, it does shift, and there is something else going on the mountain that makes it more interesting.
Well, there's three things going on. There's kind of like there's three. There's the ominous guy up the mountain. There's like the masked villain who's kind of like the Freddy Krueger or the Jason Voorhees. Yeah. And then you've got like the weird sort of thing with the heat vision.
Yeah.
So that from the get-go, there's almost three threats, and you don't know how they...
I was 3 from 3.
The windy.
Really?
I was 3 from 3. I picked that Josh was the psycho.
Yeah.
I picked that the miner was good.
Yeah.
And I picked that only once you saw the skinny thing in the mines.
Yeah.
I knew that was going to be Hannah.
Yeah, that's going to be...
So I was 3 from 3.
I didn't get that either.
I got that when they went to the grave and everything. As soon as that happened, I got it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the reason I didn't think Josh was the killer, his face is really weird, but when it comes up with the description of him, it's like kind and friendly and he cares about
you were taken for a ride.
Why would the game give you these stats? I lie to you.
I like that you say he's got a weird face. Like that's an actual actor.
And that's it
was based off a real guy.
Compared to everyone there, the way he was visually represented to me was dodgy.
Speaking of having a weird face, the guy that wrote the story, a little bit,
he's terrifying. And he's the guy that plays the guy in the mountain that lives
if he was in it from the
that
start, then I would have been like, that's the bad guy.
So how many did you end up with at the end? So there's 8.
3.
You only saved 3
out of 8.
How did your deaths happen? What happened?
So we lost
Matt's start.
Matt on the lovely hook.
Oh yeah,
I don't even know how to save him.
Well, in the little butterfly effects that show up, the thing for me, because that was my only death, was Matt.
Yeah.
Was because I didn't give him the flare gun when him and Emily are up the top of the radio tower.
He can also cut the safety straight away.
There was a jump.
No.
That would have been flare gun. Windy.
Yeah, so he had no way to defend himself.
Where was the flare gun?
At the top of the radio tower. If you walk around the top, there's a box you can open up that has a flare gun, which was awesome because instantly, as soon as you get the flare gun, you get like a bunch of options, and you're like, oh god, which is the right option? So you're like, does Emily keep it or hand it to Matt?
Well, Emily was a bitch, so I don't give her anything.
Yes.
I thought she's a bitch, so there's no way she's going to hand it over.
Right.
So I was kind of playing it from her point of view.
Oh, right.
So I was like, oh no, so I'll keep it because Matt doesn't need it.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you do that, it gives you an option between firing the flare gun or holstering it.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, I've already called for help. They already know we're up on the mountain. There's no point using the flare. I'll keep it for something hopefully in the future.
Right.
And it never... Oh, no, she did use it at one point, but it wasn't needed. I assume it had to have gone to Matt to save him.
Yeah, you can use the flare to escape, or you can jump to safety straight away.
Right.
If you jump off the thing. I think it's the only way you can die. I'm not sure. The next guy we lost was Chris.
Yeah.
And
Chris.
We liked Chris.
We tried really, really hard.
Cool. But the thing was, Chris died because the controller glitched.
What happened?
Was it a movie thing?
So it was when you were with the miner and there's the
you go up to check out Josh and the
what are the monsters called?
Wendigos up in that kind of like shed. You know you tie Josh up, and so they go out to like save him because he's like the Wendigo.
And the guy gets decapitated. That part.
He gets decapitated, and you are running away. And the Wendigo is coming at you, and you're given the choice to shoot it in the chest or to shoot. I think what is a drum of oil or something. Yeah. So we obviously were like, shoot the thing. And it wouldn't shoot. So
he just came on and was like, what? Trigger. And then like it wouldn't shoot. Oh, no. And then just straight off with Chris's head. And we were like, I pressed the button. Like, so
it was really, really
did you manage to stand still when it first appears and you just walked out of the shed and you hear the noise? Did you manage to stand still? Because it's got a stand still thing.
Yeah, don't move. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You did manage to. Because I thought, because the one that I watched, he moved it, and that's when the Wendigo came in. I thought if you didn't move, you could save the flamethrower dude.
I don't think. I don't know. Maybe you can save the flame. My guy just got decapitated.
Yeah, my guy got up as well.
No, I didn't. I did move things successfully.
Yeah, I'm sure we did as
but
well.
he got decapitated.
Right.
I was like, that was awesome. Yeah. Like I was not expecting that. I was like, yes.
Shit.
So we lost him, and then who else? We lost Jess next.
Oh, you lost Jess.
Yeah.
So she got
we ran.
thrown down the mine shaft. Yeah.
No, we
and
ran.
she just died from that?
No. So you go into Jess in chapter 10.
All right, cool.
And you can just she's like the easiest one to save.
Yeah.
You just have to hide and then exit the maze. And we just
but Jordan was all about that running.
Yeah.
Run every chance.
So her death was the most brutal in the game. We were both saying that's disgusting.
She her jaw gets ripped off.
Yeah. The Wendigo puts the hand in the mouth and just rips her face in half. And it's like,
that's awesome.
It's like Mortal Kombat style.
It wasn't fatality. Yeah, it was gross.
But we didn't really care about Jess. So
we had Jess for all of about 3 seconds.
Did you have the point since Jess died? I think it might have happened. That might have happened after. But when Ashley is in the, they all go down into the caves and Ashley hears someone calling for help.
Yeah.
Did you investigate?
No, I didn't want to. And he wanted to. He was like, we have to. And I was like,
because there was
join the group.
There was one bit of information in the book that said they can mimic people.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was like,
wow.
I'm not. There's no way I'm going down there.
And it's a good choice as well because she dies if you do that.
That is, she's just dead. Yeah, I figured.
That was entirely based on my fear of doing anything alone.
Exactly, That was the same thing that I watched, You just didn't want to be alone.
Get out. Just
well, you still
others.
can.
Who else is left then at this point?
How about Mike?
So we lost
Mike
in the last 2 minutes of the game.
How did he die?
We didn't stay still long enough in the house for him to get out.
Right.
We didn't realise he wasn't out. So when you're in the end and all the Wendigos are inside and you're trying to blow the house up basically so they die. We'd got out Ashley, we'd got out
Oh, you didn't call
Emily, and we were going from pole to pole hiding, and it seemed like you just were kind of infinitely moving until you were going to go.
See, here's the thing. This was a gameplay thing.
I don't have a problem with this part at all.
Yeah, because
you had lots of people left.
This is it. Because you had lots of people left, and this is a game design thing that ruined it for us. Like, she would hide, someone would escape. She would hide, someone would escape, right?
Yeah.
And then for us, because we didn't have that many people left, she would hide, nothing would happen. She would hide, nothing would happen, because Mike's last out of the house.
Oh, no.
So we were just like, we must...
so that screwed you.
Yeah, so we were just like, we must have to run. And then we ran and flipped the switch and, boom, Mike's out.
Burned it.
Yeah, but if we had people filling in those gaps, that would have been fine. We would have understood what was going on.
For sure.
So that was really
So you got punished for something you didn't even realise you were being punished for.
Yeah, so that was a shame. But,
who else was there? Ashley saved her
survived.
dead.
We
she's all good.
her.
Emily's
was fine.
Goddamn.
Sam.
Despite I didn't try at all to save Emily.
See, now I lost Sam through a glitch as well. I try and say that I only lost one person in the game, but at the end of the game, 2 were dead. Right. But I lost Sam in the last couple of seconds because it was one of those don't move things. And I was like,
yeah.
I was like solid, and it thought I'd moved. And I was just like, damn it, because it was like literally that's the one point you're like seconds from the end.
Yeah.
So I classify as still being alive.
Yeah. Brad got a pillow and sat his hands.
I was rock solid, same as all of the other don't move parts, and it just triggered it. So really gutted.
So how did you feel about the whole choices and it affecting the story and the deaths and things?
I loved it. I loved every time that little butterfly at the top left sort of like pulsates.
I hated it.
The first time that happened, I was like, oh god, was that a good thing? Was that a bad thing? What have I done? What's happening?
It's so
and then every single time it popped up, I was just like, oh my god, I don't know if this is going to work out for me now, if this is going to be the end of someone. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I thought it was good and good the way they did it. And the story changes, the dialogue changes quite significantly depending on the choices you make. But I was disappointed that the story never changes. The scenes never change, and the direction of the story never changes, and the outcomes are never affected.
Are you sure?
So it always goes to start with. Sam and Mike, who are the two lead characters, always make it to chapter 10. You can't kill them before chapter 10.
Right.
And the final scene will always be the same because they'll be in it.
Would it be possible to make a game that has a linear story? Because there still has to be an Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
Yeah.
If you killed... can you imagine the amount of work that would need to be done to swap... if you kill a main character, a side character then becomes the main character and takes on a new... I mean, I'm not saying it'd be impossible, but I'd say it'd be damn...
Yeah, it'd be really hard. I thought this was. I thought this was a branching story.
Yeah.
So that, maybe... like those old Goosebumps books where you went different tracks, and it actually it actually significantly changed it. So maybe if you had have killed one of the girls at the start, maybe then it does become about Josh is actually out to murder them. Like the story actually significantly changes. Maybe it turns an 8-hour game into only a 3-hour game,
but it actually has faster.
But it has a significantally different outcome, and that was the most disappointing thing.
There are a lot of things you can do to speed up the game. Like when the girl in the tower is running away from Josh, from the murderer, when he's pretending to be the murderer. When he bursts into the movie room, you can do nothing. And then he can just get you in that's an entire...
But it only makes the next scene come faster. It doesn't change the next scene.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Sam doesn't die.
Yeah, so the story is linear.
Yes, it's definitely a linear story.
Yeah, but the dialogue that takes place in between it and the outcomes change.
But but even with that, two people could have a vastly different experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is awesome. I guess that's what it was trying to aim for.
Yeah, but it does I don't feel the need to go back and replay it now. Because I don't care enough about those little conversations.
I do.
I'd love to go back and play another one, to pick up on stuff just that I didn't pick up on the first time, and actually try and get people killed. Yeah. Or just for instance, one of the things that I thought was really awesome was when I think it was Sam and Josh were in the basement, and she picked up the baseball bat and it gets moved to a different point. And so later on, when you're Sam running down through the basement, if the baseball bat's not in that new position, she can't use it. I was lucky that it was in that new position. In my mind, I thought that she was going to die.
Yeah.
And so if that baseball bat hadn't been there, I would have freaked out. So if I played a second time, I might not do some things I did do. But you're right in the fact that I'm not going to be I'm not going to fear losing Sam.
Yeah.
Because I know she makes it through to the last chapter. So that's
it. So, but you don't get that impression when you play it, right? You think anyone will die at any time.
That's right.
Like when you're going through the sanatorium with Mike. I was fearful the whole time that he wouldn't make it through that.
Yeah. I thought the dog was going to eat his face off.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I was so terrified.
Did you befriend the dog?
I did. I kicked it first. Oh no! Because it came at me and I was like, kick! No. And then you had to go and find some meat for it and feed it and befriend it.
Never hit the animals in the game.
We saw the premonition totem thing and we knew
was good. Yeah, I saw that, but there was another premonition totem where someone fell to the ground with their face missing.
Yeah.
And I was like, the dog's going to do this to me. And because you get close, after you kick it, if you get close to it, you're like, hey, little guy, and you put your hand out, and he just barks and goes to bite your hand. I was like, that was probably the most tense I was in the entire game, was because I thought the dog was going to eat me.
You mentioned Mike couldn't die before chapter 10, and I remember him climbing up that radio tower. I was wondering, did anyone fall? Did anyone fail the QTEs for that?
No, Matt
climbing up the radio tower, and there's lots of QTEs in that where he's climbing up, and it's just a straight.
I don't think you can ever die from.
The climbing QTEs, I don't think you can die from.
Oh yeah,
basically you just slide, you fall back down,
and then you have another go.
Oh, okay, I see that.
By doing that though, because someone told me Jess can die if you take too long with your QTEs.
Yeah, you can. So if you go back and look at the deaths, to start with, I was quite surprised. There's much fewer ways people that can die than I thought. Like everyone has about 2 or 3 ways.
Oh right, okay, cool.
So Matt can die obviously the way with his face on the hook, which seems to happen to everyone. Yeah. Or you can actually die by getting pushed off the cliff by the deer.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
If you attack dead.
And there's kind of 2 or 3 ways that each one can die, but it's very, some of the ways you think they're going to die when you're playing the game can't actually eventuate.
Right.
So it's quite interesting.
So what was your most tense moment from the game?
From when I put the disc in until when we stopped playing.
Yeah.
So you were tense through the whole game.
I was tense through the whole game. The worst part was probably the walking through when Mike was by himself walking through the sanatorium.
Oh, yeah.
It's terrifying.
Because it's like the first time when someone's by themselves doing something that's like tense and quiet. And every time someone's by themselves, that was the worst for me. When it was 2 of them together, I was less afraid.
Yeah.
I think.
I hated everything up until when the action started. Because I don't
Jordan didn't like
I don't like suspense, and I'm a real sucker for cheap scares.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
which there are plenty of those in the start.
beginning,
In like the first couple of hours is just like cheap scares all over the place.
There's nothing.
So the first 2 hours of the game, there's not much happening. You don't really know what's going on, and people just jump out of the bushes from everywhere, and that freaked me out the entire time. As soon as there was a killer and monsters, then it was an action game for me, and I was fine.
Yeah.
So, which is kind of the exact opposite for you.
Yeah,
right?
I was fine with the birds and people jumping out. That's all good.
Yeah.
I wasn't even. Yeah, that was fine. And then as soon as there was things to actually be afraid of,
Supernatural.
I was terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Wendigo faces coming at you.
Yeah.
That was not
And
good.
Josh being crazy. Also,
Yeah, he was pretty creepy. You don't like
I
that?
can't
It was creepy,
deal-
yeah.
I'm terrified of people who don't make sane choices.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so-
That bit with Beth and Hannah when they're
Yeah.
like dead and then talking to them.
That was creepy.
That was real freaky.
Terrifying.
One part that I thought was that good, was tense for me, and it might not be for anyone else. It was just a subtle thing that I thought was not subtle. It's not very subtle at all. But when Jessica's cell phone gets thrown through the window,
Yeah.
and
was
so
creepy.
all you hear is like the smashing of a window, and you get up,
music.
and Mike walks around and there's just like snow coming in down the hallway, and you're like, I was just the whole walk into that bedroom. I'm just going, I don't want to walk this way.
Yeah, but that
I
was me the
don't
whole
want to
game.
walk this
I was
way
like, there
at
should be
all.
a choice at the start. Play the game, go on a trip to Hawaii. Like, no, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah.
That was the good for us because Jordan, by that point, was adamant that guy was good. And so he's like, it's the miner. The miner's returning the phone. He's a good guy.
Pretty shitty way for a nice guy to return a phone.
Yeah, and then he was
He's not a nice guy, but he's not a bad guy.
and then he's like, yeah, he's a bit socially retarded, but he's a nice guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know Far Cry 4, the beginning, how you can end the game?
I haven't played Far Cry 4 yet.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about
Okay, spoilers.
Spoilers for Far
Spoilers
Cry
for
4.
Far Cry 4. At the beginning of the game, you go up to meet Pang or whatever his name is, Pang or whatever, and you're sitting at this table and he's like, wait here, I've got to go take care of something. You hear all these screams and everything. If you stay there for I think it's either 20 minutes to half an hour, then he comes back and he's like, okay, thank you. And you go and do what you came there to do and the game ends.
That's amazing.
There should be an Until Dawn version of that. Would you like to go into the cabin?
Yeah.
No.
Could there be an Until Dawn version of that? Do you want to come to the cabin?
Decline invite to the party. No, I'm
The
good.
little
thanks.
Facebook page.
Survive.
Yeah.
Not going.
I quite like that. I quite like that as a way to just, you do what your character's there to do.
Little hidden stuff.
And you don't mess with anything else. You're done. You're good.
And that's actually a game that had 2 paths. So they had more choice than Until Dawn did.
Yeah. I kind of feel the same way that you do. I wish there was a completely different way it could go. That'd be really cool. I thought when it showed you the picture of the butterfly, each of the 4 wings were different fundamental
stories.
starts.
Right,
and then they
right.
branched out, which I think could have been a really cool way to do it. But that kind of thing.
I like your idea of having something happen where Josh is the bad guy.
Yeah.
Something else happens where the miner is now the bad guy.
Yeah.
Then the true ending where what we played is what was played. I really like the idea of that.
And
Hopefully
it doesn't have to
someone
be a
could-
whole other 8-hour story.
Yeah, exactly.
Speed up.
It could be a 4-hour game for
Yeah.
one
Story
story. It
can
could
be
be
much
6
shorter.
hours
Yeah.
for the other one or 8 for the full experience.
Like imagine if in that part where the first choice with the razor, the spinning thing. If you do choose the girl and he's like, "Wait, what are you doing?" and it kills her, and he's "Oh, I was just trying to scare you guys." Instead,
That would
it would be like,
really
"Oh
bad.
shit!"
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
everyone.
He'd go pretty cuckoo straight up. But
Yeah.
Can we talk about how awesome the Wendigos are?
Yeah, they're good.
They are really well designed, yeah.
They are amazing. They said, I don't know if you watched all of the behind the
I don't know
scenes
because
ones.
mainly I shut my eyes when they were on the screen.
But they
Freaked
said
me out.
they wanted to animate them like spiders,
Yeah,
and I
they
think
do
they
move like
really
spiders.
got that perfectly. Man, that they move great.
So you're not salty about the animation in this game?
They had great motion capture in the characters. They had amazingly hand animated Wendigo.
Yeah.
The only thing I can complain about with the animation is they have the same thing that LA Noire has, where the faces
are so
great.
big.
The facial animation looks great, but the eyes are pretty much just always looking straight ahead. So no matter what they're doing, they're kind of just like this. No matter where they're going. Hey, Amy, how's it going? But they're looking just like. That's the one odd thing that the uncanny valley was too high with the eyes. The eyes look like the actual models.
I found them.
The
really
eyes were
creepy.
great.
I found them very creepy.
Just their animation.
The whole in general.
I really thought they looked good.
Yeah, me too. The whole game looked great. I thought.
And I like the fact they use the likenesses of the actors as well. Always adds an extra bit of a dimension to it.
We were significantly less scared when we were playing as Agent Ward.
Yeah.
Agent Ward?
So the guy that plays Mike is Agent Ward in S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Playing as the characters. Find each character and name the characters again.
Yeah.
Be fantastic. There was a lot of clipping though. When people are like climbing up ledges and stuff, I was just looking at their legs, and it's like their legs halfway through that cliff.
Right.
And everyone's probably like looking at their hands and where their faces are, but I'm just like, I can see that leg's inside that. Now it's outside of it. What are you doing?
Right.
I only had one clipping issue, which is when Ashley was being scared was with Chris. And Josh was making the ghosts appear and moving through the house. Ashley was like, "Oh, I got a ghost!" But as she walked, there was a pillar in the room, and as she walked up to the pillar, it triggered just some standard like a scripted bit of animation, and she just walked straight inside the pillar, like right after seeing a ghost. She thought, "I'm going to be one there." So other than that, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Well, we won't do our final opinions of whether or not you should get this game. We'll save that for the review, so people can check that out.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
That's what's fresh out of the fryer for this 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Also, Metal Gear Solid 5 came out. I don't know if we're going to talk about that.
Oh.
There's probably enough people talking about it.
Yeah, we went full into this last fortnight, didn't we?
Maybe 5 minutes. Amy, maybe 5
minutes.
minutes. Get it? Just because we've talked about.
Because we did a lot of build up to Metal Gear Solid 5.
We talked about Ground Zeroes. We talked about Two Snakes, and we talked about a little bit of Snake Eater as well.
Yeah.
In the build up for MGS5.
Yeah.
So you're 5 minutes on MGS5.
I love it. I think it's really good. I like the fact it doesn't play any of the games that I'm that are out there at the moment. It's a very you sit down. It's a methodical game. Like the missions are very. Here's a mission. It's up to you how you want to play it, and just take your time with it. And I really it's a different approach, because it's an action game as such, but it's not like it's very there's no set cutscenes or set action bits. It's literally.
Didn't you say there's not enough cutscenes?
Yeah. The story's
not enough cutscenes in a Metal Gear.
No way.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Whenever I looked at what you were playing, it was basically all cutscenes. Apart from that time you're in the
Jordan
bush,
just wants it to be
getting
a movie.
spun out.
The intro is cutscene heavy. The prelude is.
Right.
And it sets up the story a bit. It's a lot more supernatural than I was expecting.
Spoilers?
Yeah, I didn't know it was the kind of. I played the past ones, but was there much supernatural stuff in those ones?
Probably maybe halfway through Snake Eater, and there's nothing supernatural in that so far.
Yeah, so there's a lot of supernatural themes so far. I'm only maybe half a dozen hours in. I'm on mission 13 or something. But yeah, there's a lot of kind of zombie-ish stuff going on and ghosty-ish stuff. But
really,
yeah. And it could be one of those things where it kind of evolves out and it turns out it's science. It's not supernatural. But at the moment, it feels really supernatural, which I wasn't expecting from it. But yeah, I probably have more to say on it, and I played it a bit more. But so far, I'm really enjoying it. And it's my first full Metal Gear game. So
yeah.
Did Ground Zeroes give you decent expectations for 5? Do you feel that was a good if you liked Ground Zeroes, would you like 5? Because
I think if you liked Ground Zeroes, you'd love 5.
Yeah,
because you were kind of with Ground Zeroes, right?
If you didn't like Ground Zeroes. And you didn't like it because of the gameplay, probably not for you, but if you didn't like it because you thought, the game was bad, but the movements and stuff were good, then just check out 5, because 5's really good.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright.
Cool.
You two going to 30-second review it, or?
I haven't played it. I haven't played 5. I've still yet to pick it up. I really want to pick it up.
Yeah.
I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I'm playing through Snake Eater at the moment, so I don't want to...
Yeah.
Because Metal Gear Solid 5 is the direct sequel to Snake Eater.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go from Snake Eater straight into 5.
Cool.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, so I think there's Peace Walker, I think, and then 5, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so maybe I need to play Peace Walker as well.
Yeah. We could just read the story.
Yeah. Watch a video on YouTube.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's what is fresh out of the fryer.
That's fresh out of the fryer.
This fortnight, yeah.
Cool. Are you singing?
No, I'm not singing.
We don't do the jingle
I think
anymore.
the host
I thought it was a one-time jingle.
I'm so tired.
You said we were only going to do it the once, and that was last week.
You guys should vote if you want Reagan to sing the jingle every time.
Should we change it up? Should we do it to like a pop song every day?
But they don't even know what we're talking about yet.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about getting salty. We're going to get salty.
What are we getting salty about?
Okay. Well, let me tell you.
Talk, I punch you.
The Jormy, everyone.
That's not the rules.
I feel like I might be the one who is the most saltiest in general when it comes to the industry, which is great. I like that.
Yeah.
This time, I want to talk about that there are just simply way too many games coming out every year.
Right.
Way too many
Annually
games.
released.
Is that series or just games in general?
In general.
Games in general. Okay.
In a 12-month schedule, there are too many games being released.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what your...
That's an assertion. But what are the cons of that?
Okay, well, the cons are selfish, right? The cons are selfish. The cons are, I want to play that, and I want to play that, and I want to play that, and there's 12 games I want to play, and I don't have the time, I don't have the money to play them. By the time of a game that I've wanted to play comes down in price, there's 7 more games that I want to play on top of that as well.
Well, I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
You reckon?
Yeah,
I'm good with it.
Sure. Like, I think if you're a gamer these days, there's so many different ways that you can play in a year, and you can be us and like sample a little bit of everything, and a lot of the time things miss out, and like I'll never play The Witcher 3. I'll never play because I've just chosen other games on top of that. Yeah. So those are experiences that I'll miss out on forever now, because I probably won't go back and play them. But it's been great having all that choice of being really picky on what kind of AAA games I get to play. And on the other side of that, if I'm someone that isn't into doing that and I just want to play 1 or 2 games a year, those games are there as well. Like I can pick up Call of Duty and play 100 to 200 hours into that, play it every day, if I want to. I can get Mario Maker and just play that for, months on end. Those games exist as well. So I
bow down to those people. Who are you?
So I just think at the current gaming environment, there's so much out there that you can, decide how you want to play, really. If you want to play 1 game a year, then do it. If you want to play 1,000 games a year, then
if you want to spend
good
all
luck
your
to you.
earnings on Hearthstone,
Good luck.
Yeah. And a lot of people are. Like, I think that we are probably the minority of the people that are playing, 10 plus games a year.
Yeah.
I think, especially when you think about the guys that are playing the PC games and they're just literally just playing League of Legends.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just that one game.
Yeah.
I would love to know if anyone can be bothered to write in the comments. This would be a really interesting thing. How many games have you played this year?
Yeah.
I did 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I made a forum post on forums that I go to daily, and listing every single game I played for that year. So every game that I started, and I move it down into a different category if I'd finished it, and I move it down to a separate category if I lost interest in it.
Right.
And I think in the 12 months, the number was over 100.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a spreadsheet.
And I still missed out on games that I wanted to play.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Now we're at a point where AAA games, some of them, even just like what you wouldn't classify as AAA, but just like indie games that are just great. They've got so many amazing games that have got so much like effort that's been put into them. They have the finesses there. They play well. They look well. They look great. And you're just kind of like, okay, well, if I play this, I'm giving up playing something else. I still haven't played the latest Batman game, and I would love to play it.
Yeah.
I haven't picked up Metal Gear Solid 5, and I'm thinking, will I now? Because I haven't picked it up in the middle of its hype.
Yeah.
Am I going to ever pick it up?
So I think that I'm not as salty about this because I'm A, more fussy about games, and B, I don't lose interest. If I've wanted to play a game, I don't ever lose that interest. I will, at some point, return to it. I'm convinced that I will.
But even if your interest stays high...
Well, I'm at least convinced that I will.
Let's say a game comes out and you're like, okay, this is a game I have to play.
Yeah.
And you still haven't purchased it 5 months later because you just haven't had the time to do it. In that 5 months' time, 4 other games that come out that equal your interest.
In that perpetual...
And now you've got 4 or 5 games that you want to play.
50, but yeah.
Yeah. And you want to play them. You put them above all of the other games that have come out.
Yeah.
Which one do you choose?
I don't know how I choose. But
yeah.
It's more of a first world problem for people. Loads of tastes.
It's definitely a first world problem.
I think it's a great position to be in because currently I'm in the driver's seat. I get to choose what I play and what I don't play based on this huge array of games. if there was less games and we, you know, like you say, and you get a chance to play all of them, someone else is taking that power away from you.
Yeah.
And like maybe they said, you know, oh, there's too many games this year, we're not going to release Batman and everyone can have The Witcher. That's not the decision I would have made. I would have rather had Batman over The Witcher. So I miss out and I'm less happy now. Yeah, so I think,
but this isn't a world where they'd say, "Hey, we've got these 2 games, and we're just not going to give you one." This is a world where you don't even know Batman was being created,
right?
And you've been given.
So you've now
The
been
Witcher.
able to play The Witcher and Batman because they've been released over a longer period of time, right?
I'm saying, let's say they've decided at the highest level of production. You know what? We've got too many games coming out in our schedule. We're going to knock off 5 of them. There's been no media coverage of these 5 games. You don't know they were ever in planning stage, yet you still get 4 great games. The other 5, you don't know a thing about. They could have been something that you would have loved, but you'll never know. And you now have time to play those 4 great games, but you wouldn't have time to play the full 9.
I think I would lose out.
I think it would be irrelevant to me. Because I'd still play the games, right? I'd still play the good games.
Yeah, and then that's what I'm saying.
I'm not going to
saying
get
there's
more time to play games.
And I'm saying that's instead of a world where you don't have time to play all the games you want to play, you have time to play all the games you want to play because they've released less, they've created
Could we not
less.
just somehow make more time
Yeah.
rather than less
Manufacture.
games?
Sometimes I do get sad that like I can't be one of those people that puts, playing Street Fighter every day and becoming like the guy that just plays Street Fighter and he's the man at it and that sort of thing. But like, it's just a completely different way to play. And it's never going to be, the way that I played those games.
Right.
See, in the 90s, you didn't have a choice.
No.
There were just like, I remember with the Nintendo 64, there would probably be 25 releases in a year, and some of them were pretty crap. And so you knew which ones you would be playing and which ones you weren't. And you would be playing a game for a month before a new one of any interest would come out. And there was a kind of enjoyment to that. There wasn't like, you didn't feel you had to rush through the game because there was another one you wanted to get onto because your time is so limited. You could sit back and you could enjoy. And once you finished it, you'd go back and you play it again because you've still got another week before the next game's coming out.
Do you think kids in general do that though?
Yes, I was about to
young
say.
people in general, because you're not able to go out.
You can't buy them.
So maybe that's my problem. Maybe having having money.
I'll take some of your money. I
don't even have too much. I'm just like having money. Maybe that's the problem where I'm not relying on someone else to give me the pocket money to.
So
maybe if you had a budget for a year,
it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work for me. I'd just be like, there's my savings.
Right. But this is assuming you can stick to a rule.
Good point.
When I was younger, I couldn't afford to buy video games because I didn't have that kind of disposable income. So my parents had to buy them for me.
So you had to convince them which one.
So I might get one for my birthday and one for Christmas.
Yeah.
And I have such fond memories of those games. Because it's like you go back and you play that game and you maybe play it 2 or 3 times and you love it because it's the game you have. Like the Crash Bandicoots were like that.
Yeah.
This
was my Tomb Raider.
Tekken Tag Tournament 2. I would play, if I bought Tekken Tag, which I did like when it came out 2 years ago, the newest one. I played that for, maybe 2 hours before the next game came out and I moved on to that. But if I was younger, I would have been playing that game for a year and my memories of it would have been so much more fonder than they are now. Now it's just a game that I played in passing. There are downsides to it, but in the end, that's my fault for doing that. Like, if I wanted to have those fond memories of that one game, then I should just buy the one game and play it. But I don't do that, and it's not the industry's fault.
There are lots of ways to go about it.
Reagan blames the industry.
You're definitely making me reconsider that sort of side of things because you're right. I am in control of my spending and how I game now, like this year, has been vastly different to previous years for me. Especially with games like Monster Hunter. I've never sunk that amount of time into anything. I'm 235 hours into a game. It's never ever happened. There's been so many AAA games that I haven't bought on launch. Where normally I buy them on launch and I spend a week playing it, like just nothing but playing that game, and then I'll go back to some other games. And I just haven't done this maybe the last 2 years. I just haven't really played that way.
And those games that you do play in passing, you never have the fond memories about. Like, you remember playing them, but you don't feel that attachment to them.
They have to, and that's why they're getting so big. Like Uncharted 4 is going to be enormous. It's going to be so full of spectacle because they know people are going to play it in a weekend And that's their experience of that game for eternity, is just playing it in a weekend.
Yeah, that's it.
So they have to make it big. They have to make it so big and impressive graphically, and it has to flow in a certain way.
And I
so
think
they talk
those
about
games might hurt the other games. Because I think about now Metal Gear Solid 5, which is not made that way. It's made that you want to sink 70, 100 hours into it and form that attachment with the game. And
Skyrim paradox,
Yeah, and but when you've got games like Uncharted 4 that are coming out that are 12, 20 hours, and they're made to be just like bang, you're like excitement, and it's there and it's done and it's over, and then another one comes out next month. When are you supposed to make these attachments to Metal Gear Solid 5 when you constantly have to keep going back, playing these AAA titles? Like, is that hurting kind of the way that we play games?
It's all up to how you consume them and how you want to consume them, I feel. And there's still stories that you can feel
like you can't. This is the same. It's almost the exact same argument with short form video content ruining long form video content.
Right, because people's attention spans.
Yeah. So like people, it's interesting.
And
it could have held that way, yeah.
The connection thing is a big thing, because with Witcher 3, which I managed to get a copy of, it's so big and so daunting that I have just been doing a mission, putting it down and going and playing some other stuff. Minor technical glitching. It's the same thing we get every fortnight due to the camera we've got, so that's all right.
Same thing we do.
Battery runs.
Try to take over the world.
Someone sponsor us for an AC adapter, please. That'd be great. So I think that you were talking about your playing of The Witcher.
Witcher 3, yeah. So Jordan had mentioned that connection with video games. When you spend a long time with them, you have a connection with them. And so when I started playing Witcher 3, it's kind of daunting with the amount of content in the game. And because for the most part, I'm not the type of gamer that just puts 80 hours into a game. I'm sort of jumping into it and then out of it and just play something else and then back into it. And because of that, there's just no connection to it now. So I think having that connection to a game is massive. And in a time where you had few games coming out, you're almost forced to have that connection because there was nothing else to play.
Yeah. Whether that was through lack of funds or lack of games to play. Systems.
So we're kind of split in our opinion.
Yeah, a little bit.
Of what, if there's too many games released or not.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad there are as many as there are, because I think that there wouldn't be as many games for me to play, because I don't play a big bunch of big games.
I don't think it's gotten to the point where more and more games coming out is actually affecting the quality of the overall
because it's definitely not affecting the quality. It's definitely not affecting the quality.
And of course the more games, the more innovation. So
but I just want to play all of them is the problem.
Reagan just needs someone to sponsor him to have the video games as
if you can just pay me to play all day, that would be fantastic. And even then, I probably wouldn't have the time to play all of the ones I want to play.
That's what you got to do. What I do, you got to have 3 or 4 monitors. You're playing one game on one of them. You're watching a playthrough of the other one on another one. You've got a couple of conversations up on your other monitor.
Wow, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it.
That's how I consume games. So if there is a game that I can't, or if I have to choose between 2 games, I'm sitting there playing one of them, and then I usually open up a Let's Play. If I can't afford to buy the other game, I open up a Let's Play of it on YouTube and just have that going at the same time. But it depends. Like I can't do that for 2 story games, but I can do it for a multiplayer. Like I normally have. I was watching through Until Dawn. I have Rocket League on. I'm playing Rocket League, and then I'm just watching things happen in Until Dawn, and I just conflict between
How
them.
immersed in Until Dawn, just the watching of it, were you though?
I got very immersed. Like these guys can stand for it. When they'd finish whatever they were playing and doing that stuff, they'd walk into the kitchen. I'd be talking to them about it, and I know what was going on, and I'm a bit fuzzy on the ending, but that's about it.
Could you play Until Dawn and be watching Rocket League? Do you think that would work?
I don't think I could. If I'm playing a story-driven game, I have to be very immersed in playing it. But that's why I tend not, and this could be such a bad thing for the industry in the future. Actually, is that I don't tend to play as much story-driven games because the communities that I've engaged with so much are communities because they play multiplayer games, which are competitive and you can constantly get better at, and that's where the community comes from. It's harder to build a community over a single-player game. You still can do it. Like Fallout's got some massive communities and that kind of stuff. But I need to skill up in my multiplayer areas and be in that community more so than the single-player ones, which I can even read wikis of and just get it from there. But definitely playing a game, far better experience, bar none. But if I can't afford it or I don't have the time, it's just That's just how it is.
Yeah. I could imagine doing that with multiplayer, but definitely not any sort of single player experience. I need to be able to like get right in there. I couldn't imagine having Until Dawn there, but then I can have a conversation and I'm sort of going, oh wait, I'll just pause that and then carry on the conversation, and then come straight back. So just be
no pausing.
No pausing. Okay,
pausing.
Definitely couldn't do it then. You guys multitasking throughout your gameplay?
No. In fact, I have to actually set aside time to play.
Yeah.
I don't play video games to relax. Like, I will watch movies or TV to relax. To actually play video games, I take, a set amount of time and I dedicate it to enjoying and playing that game.
Yeah, it's much more like an activity.
Yeah, for sure.
Like a hobby that I'm doing more than it is something that I do for like... It's obviously fun, but it's not. Yeah, it's not like watching TV where you're just zoning out and doing nothing.
You're not engaged. Yeah, it is more like a hobby than it is like TV is just kind of to waste time sometimes.
You tackle the problems based on how you consume it.
Yeah.
True. That's well said.
Yeah.
Cool. That was salty.
So that was us getting salty.
I feel refreshed.
Yeah, we got it out there.
Does that work?
Put that off our chest.
I've taken a...
You were salted, yeah.
You've gotten rid of your salt, so now you're feeling refreshed.
Yeah.
I'm hydrated.
Oh, yeah. I see. Alright, good. Great.
Awesome.
Alright, so that's us for this week. So we've actually, because of the Until Dawn giveaway and the fact that we've been playing it, we thought it would be a good idea to sit two of the more frightened people of the team down in front of Until Dawn, get some footage of them playing it and cut it all together. So we're just going to leave you with that. If you've got any suggestions for anything that we should be playing or anything that we should be talking about, please let us know. All of our Twitters are at the bottom. Leave a comment, subscribe, and
we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Thanks for watching.
See ya.